Remember Shirley Temple's golden curls or Bobby Driscoll's mischievous grin? One ruled Depression-era box offices, the other gave Peter Pan his voice, yet both slipped into obscurity when the spotlights dimmed. They're just two of 20 child stars whose dazzling fame evaporated without warning. Where did the applause go and what shadows filled the silence? From silver screen darlings of the 1930s to TV icons of the 1970s, their hidden journeys will surprise, shock, and sometimes inspire. Let's begin up. Bobby Driscoll. Bobby Driscoll's story is one of Hollywood's most haunting scandals. Once the golden boy of Disney, he was the original voice of Peter Pan and the young star of Treasure Island. By age 12, Bobby had already won the prestigious Academy Juvenile Award, his future shining brighter than any child actor before him. But in Hollywood, fame is fleeting. As Bobby grew older, his innocent looks faded with adolescence, and so did his career. The same Walt Disney who once treated him like family suddenly ended his contract in 1953, just 3 years after Bobby's major breakthrough. Studio whispers claimed he was difficult, but in truth, he simply didn't fit the image Disney wanted anymore. Cast aside at just 16, Bobby's world crumbled. No longer welcome in the industry that made him famous, he struggled to find his place. He drifted further from the spotlight, facing challenges that neither his family nor Hollywood could solve. His disappearance from red carpets and movie screens was total. By his 20s, Bobby was alone, far from the world of celebrity interviews and premieres. In 1968, long after Hollywood had forgotten him, his life came to a tragic and anonymous end in New York City. He was buried without a name, his remarkable story nearly lost to time. Years later, the truth emerged. The forgotten boy who once captured hearts as Peter Pan had vanished from Hollywood forever, a sobering reminder of how even the brightest stars can fade away in the glare of Hollywood scandals. Margaret O'Brien. Margaret O'Brien once drew tears from audiences and critics alike. At just 7, she stood toe-to-toe with Judy Garland in Meet Me in St. Louis, her portrayal of little Tootie so moving that the Academy honored her with its Juvenile Award. Casting directors called her a miracle. She could summon real tears on cue, making her one of MGM's most treasured young talents. Yet fame can be fickle. As the 1950s dawned and Margaret inched toward her teens, the script slowed to a trickle. Instead of clinging to shrinking roles, she made a radical decision few child stars dare to make. She walked away. No scandals, no courtroom battles, just a graceful exit. Margaret poured her energy into school, later choosing marriage and family over box office glory. She never chased the limelight again, appearing only occasionally on television and stage, rare moments that now feel like treasured cameos in the universe of celebrity interviews. Today, at 87, she resides quietly in California, financially secure and emotionally grounded. When she does surface at classic film festivals or Golden Age retrospectives, fans find the same gentle spirit and warm smile that charmed them 8 decades ago. You won't believe how much these vanished child stars have changed. Comment 1 now, and watch till the end to uncover the jaw-dropping twists in their lives. Deanna Durbin. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, Deanna Durbin wasn't just another child star, she was a global sensation. With a pure soprano voice and a charming on-screen persona, she didn't just win hearts, she practically rescued Universal Studios from financial disaster. At her peak, Durbin was so adored that her fan club outnumbered those of every other celebrity, a testament to her power during an era obsessed with Hollywood scandals and overnight fame. By the time she was 21, Durbin had become the second highest paid woman in America, earning an astonishing $400,000 per film, second only to Bette Davis. But just as her career hit its zenith, Deanna delivered news that blindsided the entire industry. She was done. At only 27, she chose to retire completely, leaving a $200,000 a year contract and a legion of stunned fans behind her. Unlike many stars forced out by fading trends or personal troubles, Deanna Durbin's disappearance was entirely on her terms. After filming for The Love of Mary in 1949, her 21st and final movie, she disappeared from the glare of the cameras, leaving Hollywood with nothing but questions. Durbin quietly moved to a village near Paris, marrying her third husband, Charles David. For the next 6 decades, she rejected every offer to return,
declined almost every interview, and allowed her legacy to become a whispered legend. Younger generations barely recognize her name, a stark contrast to the days when she was the very definition of stardom. Years later, when pressed about her exit, Deanna offered rare insight. "I was never happy in Hollywood. I couldn't deal with the unreality of the life I was expected to live. The constant pressure to embody the perfect girl next door became unbearable, and no amount of money could buy back her peace or privacy."
Deanna Durbin remained in France, out of sight and content, until her passing in 2013 at age 91. She never wavered in her refusal to return to the spotlight. Her story stands as one of Hollywood's most dramatic self-imposed exits, a true mystery at the heart of old Hollywood scandals. Claude Jarman Jr. When The Yearling hit theaters in 1946, the world was enchanted by 12-year-old Claude Jarman Jr., a boy whose performance alongside Gregory Peck and Jane Wyman was so authentic, he earned the coveted Academy Juvenile Award. Critics called him a natural, and many believed Hollywood had just discovered its next great leading man. But in a move that stunned fans and insiders alike, Claude seemed to disappear from Hollywood almost overnight. By the early 1950s, his name had faded from the headlines, and audiences were left wondering what could drive such a promising young star to walk away. Unlike many child actors who were forced out by ruthless industry pressures or Hollywood scandals, Claude chose his own path. As a teen, he realized a stable future might be found in classrooms, not under the glare of studio lights. After a few more films, including the critically acclaimed but underseen Intruder in the Dust, he left acting behind, heading home to Tennessee to finish high school with friends instead of film crews. Turning his back on comeback roles, Claude enrolled at Vanderbilt University and later served in the Navy. He eventually settled in San Francisco, far from the red carpet, where he became executive director of the city's renowned International Film Festival, a surprising turn for a former child star. Now in his late 80s, he leads a quiet life, rarely making public appearances, though he occasionally grants celebrity interviews to reflect on his brief but unforgettable impact on cinema. Brandon de Wilde. With his striking blonde hair and soulful blue eyes, Brandon de Wilde was the heart and soul of the classic film Shane, 1953. At just 11, he delivered the unforgettable line, "Shane, come back, a moment that's become etched in Hollywood history." That single role earned him an Academy Award nomination, putting him among the youngest nominees ever, a child star seemingly destined for a long reign in Hollywood. Unlike so many young actors who fade out after childhood, Brandon continued to land roles as a teenager, starring alongside legends like Paul Newman in HUD and even appearing in hit TV series like The Virginian. His raw talent and on-screen presence hinted at a bright future, one that might have made him a staple of Hollywood gossip and red carpet fashion for decades to come. But just as Brandon was poised to step into adult stardom, tragedy struck. In the summer of 1972, a sudden car accident near Denver ended his life at only 30. In a cruel twist of fate, the boy whose desperate plea once echoed through movie theaters would himself vanish from the big screen forever. Today, Brandon de Wilde's film legacy stands at just 17 titles, a brief, brilliant flash in the ever-turning world of Hollywood scandals and lost potential. His story is a haunting reminder. Sometimes, the brightest young stars disappear not by choice but by the unpredictable turns of life itself. Shirley Temple. When people talk about child stars, the conversation always circles back to Shirley Temple, the face that lit up Hollywood during its darkest hours. With her iconic curls and innocent smile, Shirley was more than just a film sensation. She became a symbol of hope for millions during the Great Depression. At only 7, her earnings soared to $50,000 per movie, an amount that would be nearly $1 million today. Merchandise bearing her name, from dolls to dresses, brought in a fortune, making her a household legend. Yet behind the charm and applause, even Shirley couldn't escape the unforgiving nature of Hollywood scandals, the quiet ones where the industry moves on without you. As she grew older, audiences' fascination faded. By the time she was 12, the very studio that had banked on her magic, 20th Century Fox, abruptly ended her contract. Attempts to reinvent herself with teenage roles failed to reignite her star, and after a screen test for The Wizard of Oz didn't land, Shirley made the difficult decision to walk away from acting by age 22. But Shirley Temple's story didn't end in obscurity. Unlike many child stars whose sudden exits became subjects of Hollywood gossip, Shirley orchestrated a powerful second act far from the cameras. After focusing on her family, she transitioned into public service, first running for Congress and then making history as a US ambassador to Ghana and Czechoslovakia. Throughout her life, she maintained an air of dignity, never dwelling on her fall from grace or the cruel realities of fame. Reflecting on her past, Shirley once offered blunt advice to aspiring actors. "I have one piece of advice for those who want to become actors. Don't." Her journey proved that stepping out of Hollywood's spotlight can be the beginning of a much greater legacy. Shirley Temple's transformation stands as a powerful lesson for every child star who faces the end of their red carpet days. Tommy Rettig. For anyone watching television in the 1950s, Tommy Rettig was unforgettable. As Jeff Miller, the first boy to share the screen with the legendary Collie in Lassie, he embodied the all-American dream and became a fixture in households nationwide. Yet behind the cheerful exterior, Tommy's relationship with Hollywood fame was anything but simple. By age 14, the pressure of constant attention and the loss of a normal childhood began to weigh heavily. In a move that stunned the industry, Tommy demanded release from his contract, walking away from the very role that made him a star. What followed was a textbook example of a Hollywood scandal. Young actors pigeonholed by their own success, struggling to escape the shadow of an iconic role. After Lassie, casting agents couldn't see Tommy as anyone other than the boy with the famous dog. Roles evaporated, and by his late teens, Tommy had all but disappeared from television screens. Adulthood brought more challenges. He bounced between jobs, searching for purpose far from the limelight. But Tommy's story didn't end in tragedy. He reinvented himself as a pioneer in computer programming, eventually becoming a respected consultant and author in the tech world, a life completely removed from Hollywood's glare. Tommy Rettig passed away at 54, remembered not just for his childhood fame, but for his remarkable ability to start over, even after vanishing from Hollywood. Quick verdict time: did Hollywood destroy Tommy Rettig's future? Comment yes if the system chewed him up, no if you think he ditched the spotlight by choice. Let the debate explode below. Baby Peggy. Long before Shirley Temple became America's sweetheart, there was Baby Peggy, a pint-sized powerhouse who dominated silent cinema in the early 1920s. Between 1921 and 1924, this tiny starlet appeared in more than 150 films, charming audiences worldwide with her pageboy haircut and surprisingly adult comic timing. At the peak of her fame, Baby Peggy was earning what would be over $20 million a year today, supporting not just her parents but her entire extended family. The fan mail poured in by the millions. But behind the bright lights and the adoring crowds, a Hollywood scandal was quietly unfolding. Baby Peggy's father, a former cowboy who managed her every move, kept her working up to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, robbing her of a normal childhood. She never went to school, had no friends her own age, and didn't even get to keep the fortune she was making. On set, exhaustion was met with chilling discipline. When she cried, crew members would press ice cubes to her skin until she stopped. It all came crashing down when disagreements between her father and studio executives destroyed her career almost overnight. The money evaporated due to reckless spending and failed investments. By the time she was just 7 years old, Baby Peggy was a has-been, her star burned out before most children even learned to read. Forced back on stage in desperate vaudeville acts, she worked endlessly until the Great Depression wiped out her last source of income. Haunted by her past, she eventually changed her name to Diana Sarah Carey, hoping to escape the shadow of exploitation that had defined her youth. For decades, Diana faded into obscurity, working ordinary jobs and wrestling with the trauma of her lost childhood. Only in her 70s was her incredible story rediscovered by film historians, and Diana emerged to speak out against the exploitation of child actors in Hollywood's early days. Living to the age of 101, Diana Sarah Carey ultimately found a new purpose as a writer and advocate. Once a global icon who vanished from the spotlight, her legacy became not just about fame, but about fighting for the rights of those who followed in her footsteps.
Scotty Beckett. Scotty Beckett, famous for his sideways newsboy cap and mischievous smile, won over America as one of the original Little Rascals in the iconic Our Gang comedies. He seemed destined for lifelong stardom, going on to appear in major films and even portraying young legends like Al Jolson. In the 1930s and 1940s, his career never slowed, a rare feat for a child star. As he entered his teens, Scotty landed a regular spot in the television series Rocky Jones' Space Ranger, fueling hopes he'd break the child star curse and shine as an adult. But away from the camera, Scotty's life was spiraling. The loss of his father at just 14 changed everything. Grief overwhelmed him, and by his late teens, he was caught in a cycle of poor decisions and public struggles. Reports of reckless behavior and run-ins with the law began to eclipse his acting achievements. As the 1950s unfolded, the headlines weren't about new roles, but about a series of failed marriages, arrests, and increasingly erratic actions, a story all too familiar in the world of Hollywood scandals. By the end of the decade, the industry that once adored him had turned its back. Scotty Beckett's reputation was shattered, and Hollywood doors slammed shut. His last days were clouded in mystery and heartbreak. In 1968, after suffering a violent attack, Scotty was admitted to a nursing home, only to be found dead 2 days later at just 38 years old. Official reports pointed to a self-inflicted overdose, yet questions linger about what truly happened. The stark contrast between the joyful child who once lit up Depression-era screens and the isolated figure he became is a haunting reminder of the hidden dangers lurking behind early fame. Scotty Beckett's journey, filled with laughter and promise, ended in silence, a tragic story that continues to echo through Hollywood history. Freddy Bartholomew. In the glittering world of 1930s cinema, few child actors captured hearts quite like Freddy Bartholomew. With a polished British accent and remarkable emotional depth, Freddy quickly became MGM's prized answer to Shirley Temple, headlining classics like David Copperfield and Little Lord Fauntleroy. Audiences adored his impeccable manners, but behind the scenes, Freddy's life was far from the picture-perfect image Hollywood promoted. At the height of his stardom, Freddy earned an astonishing $2,500 a week, a fortune during the Great Depression, but his real life spiraled into one of the era's most talked-about Hollywood scandals. Born to struggling parents in London, Freddy was sent to live with his aunt in America, the very woman who would help launch his career. Yet when he found fame, his biological parents reappeared, triggering a bitter public custody battle fueled by money and betrayal. The endless legal wars drained Freddy's earnings and cast a dark shadow over his childhood success. As Freddy grew older, Hollywood's obsession with youth faded, and his once perfect image no longer fit the studio mold. By 14, MGM let him go, ending his film career just as he entered adolescence. Unlike so many who collapsed under the weight of lost fame, Freddy chose a different path. After serving in World War II, he stepped away from acting altogether, reinventing himself in the world of television advertising. Rising from the ground up, he eventually became an acclaimed executive and commercial director in New York, his Hollywood past a closely guarded secret. When Freddy passed away in 1992, many colleagues were shocked to discover the truth. The successful advertising director they'd worked alongside was once a global sensation. Freddy Bartholomew's story is a powerful reminder. Sometimes the biggest stars disappear not with scandal or tragedy, but with quiet dignity, far from the red carpets and relentless spotlight of Hollywood. Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan was more than just a child actor. He was Hollywood's original kid sensation, the first to spark a frenzy that swept across America. Discovered at age 7 by Charlie Chaplin, Jackie's unforgettable performance in the silent film classic The Kid turned him into an overnight icon. Audiences everywhere were moved by his raw, emotional depth, something rarely seen in any performer, let alone a child. Soon Jackie's face was everywhere. From toys to clothing, his image became a household staple. Boys across the country rushed to copy his signature bobbed haircut. By the time he was just 10, Jackie Coogan had amassed a fortune, over $4 million in 1920s money, which would be more than $60 million today, all from his remarkable talent. But behind the scenes, a shocking Hollywood scandal was brewing. When Jackie reached adulthood and tried to claim his hard-earned money, he discovered a bitter truth. Nearly all of it was gone. His mother and stepfather had spent his fortune on lavish parties, diamond jewelry, and luxury cars, leaving him with almost nothing. Out of millions, only $126,000 remained. The story exploded into national headlines as Jackie sued his own family. His legal fight captured the nation's attention and forced Hollywood to face an uncomfortable reality. Child stars had no protection. This public battle led to the creation of the famous Coogan Law in 1939, ensuring that child actors' earnings would be safeguarded for the future. Though Jackie Coogan continued acting, he never reclaimed the dazzling fame of his childhood. Most people today remember him as Uncle Fester from the Addams Family TV series, a far cry from the vulnerable boy who once captivated the world alongside Chaplin. In the end, Jackie's true legacy isn't his acting, but the hard-earned reforms his personal tragedy brought to Hollywood. Every child actor protected by today's laws owes a debt to Jackie Coogan, the boy whose story changed the industry forever. Beverly Washburn.
With her soulful eyes and genuine charm, Beverly Washburn became one of the most sought-after child actresses of the 1950s. While she never reached the towering fame of some of her peers, millions recognized her face from television classics like The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, and Leave It to Beaver. On the silver screen, she made a lasting impression in beloved films such as Shane and Old Yeller.
Beverly's true strength lay in her emotional depth. Directors knew she could deliver real tears on command, making her the go-to choice for heartfelt and vulnerable roles. This rare ability kept her in steady demand through her childhood and into her teenage years, a feat not many young performers managed in the tough world of Hollywood. Unlike many names that faded amidst Hollywood scandals or behind-the-scenes drama, Beverly's story took a quieter path. She didn't land headline-grabbing leading roles as an adult, but she found steady work, gradually moving into smaller parts throughout the 1970s. When the roles finally dried up, Beverly stepped back with dignity, choosing family life over the relentless chase for fame. Today, at 81, Beverly Washburn lives peacefully in Las Vegas. She's occasionally spotted at film festivals and shares her stories at conventions, where fans of Old Yeller still cherish her legacy. Her memoir, Real Tears, gives readers a rare, honest glimpse into the world of 1950s child stars, without the bitterness or scandal so often associated with old Hollywood tales. June Lockhart.
When you think of child stars who faded into oblivion, June Lockhart's name might not top the list. But her story is a rare exception in the world of Hollywood scandals. June stepped onto the big screen at just 13, debuting in the 1938 classic A Christmas Carol alongside her well-known parents. While many young talents struggled to escape the shadow of early fame, June managed to carve out an identity that went far beyond childhood stardom.
Her teenage years were filled with memorable roles, including a turn in Meet Me in St. Louis. Yet it was as an adult that June truly left her mark, becoming a television icon thanks to her roles as the steadfast mother in beloved series like Lassie and Lost in Space. Unlike so many others lost to Hollywood's history, she transitioned gracefully, evolving from a child actress to the TV mom America adored. Now at 99, June Lockhart is one of the last living links to the golden age of Hollywood. She occasionally surfaces at special events, sharing treasured stories from her astonishing 9-decade career. While countless child stars were swept away by the darker side of fame, June's story stands as a reminder that not all vanish into tragedy. Some survive, thrive, and quietly outlast the worst of Hollywood storms. Gloria Jean. Once celebrated for her sparkling soprano and innocent charm, Gloria Jean seemed destined to become Hollywood's next musical sweetheart, groomed by Universal Studios as a possible successor to the legendary Deanna Durbin. Gloria's film debut in The Underpup, 1939, quickly led to a flurry of roles alongside icons like Donald O'Connor. By her early 20s, she'd already graced more than 20 films, a dazzling run for any child star. But the glitz of Hollywood is fickle. As post-war audiences craved new styles and musical comedies fell out of fashion, Gloria's light began to dim. Universal quietly let her contract expire, and smaller studios offered little hope of a comeback. Unlike so many lost in the maze of Hollywood scandals, desperate for the limelight, Gloria made a rare, courageous choice. She left on her own terms. Trading red carpets for a quieter life, Gloria became a receptionist at Redken Laboratories, later building a stable career far from the public eye. She embraced motherhood, cherished a few old Hollywood friendships, and deliberately kept her distance from the fame that once defined her. Years later, when asked about her exit, Gloria was frank. When the time came to move on, I moved on. Her passing in 2018 at age 92 barely made a ripple in the press, a silent testament to just how completely she'd vanished from the world of showbiz. Gloria Jean's story is a dramatic reminder that sometimes the greatest escape from Hollywood scandals is the freedom to simply disappear. Jon Provost. There was a time when Jon Provost's face was everywhere in America. As Timmy Martin on Lassie, Jon stepped into a role that would define an era of wholesome family television and turn him into an overnight sensation. With his golden hair and earnest smile, he became the heart of a show that drew millions, and at its peak, Jon received more than 2,000 fan letters every single week. He wasn't just a child actor. He was a phenomenon, but behind the scenes, far from the swirl of Hollywood gossip and studio spotlights, Jon's story took a quieter, unexpected turn. Unlike some young stars plagued by scandal, Jon's exit from the series was calm, a rare mutual decision when at just 14 he knew he'd outgrown the part. The writers neatly wrapped up his character by sending Timmy and his family off to Australia, ending an unforgettable chapter in TV history. Lassie, of course, found her way back to keep the series alive. After Lassie, Jon tried to keep his Hollywood dream alive, but the magic never returned. Instead of chasing fading fame, he made a bold choice. Jon Provost walked away from Hollywood entirely. He went to college, built a new life in Northern California, and carved out a successful career in real estate, far from the relentless buzz of the entertainment world. These days, Jon is 74 and at peace with the legacy he left behind. He occasionally resurfaces for fan conventions, sharing memories and signing copies of his memoir, Timmy's in the Well, a playful nod to a line the show never actually used. In a world where so many child stars crash and burn, Jon Provost is a rare exception. A Hollywood legend who left on his own terms, found real happiness away from the spotlight, and can reflect on his extraordinary childhood with gratitude, not regret. Bonita Granville. Bonita Granville stunned audiences in the 1930s, earning an Academy Award nomination at just 13 for her role as the scheming Mary Tilford in These Three. While most young stars played sweet, innocent roles, Bonita's performances stood out for their intensity, adding an edge that set her apart in an era full of Hollywood scandals and secrets. Her biggest on-screen fame came as Nancy Drew, the sharp-witted teen detective, in a string of popular films from 1938 to 1939. But as the spotlight faded, so did her leading roles. Throughout the 1940s, Bonita took on smaller parts in notable films like Now, Voyager, and Hitler's Children, quietly slipping away from the center of Hollywood's attention. While many young stars become cautionary tales, Bonita pulled off a stunning transformation. In 1947, she married Jack Rather, a wealthy oil man and Hollywood producer, and traded the red carpet for the boardroom. Together, they built the Rather Corporation into a major entertainment powerhouse. As an executive producer, Bonita played a key role in developing the legendary Lassie series, steering it to success behind the scenes. Enjoyed uncovering these vanished child stars? Drop a bold 9 in the comments to let us know you're still watching and tell us which story stunned you the most. Martin Stevens. Martin Stevens was once hailed as the young genius behind two of the most unsettling child roles in cinema history. David Zellaby in Village of the Damned, 1960, and The Possessed Miles in the Innocents, 1961. His uncanny ability to balance innocence with a chilling presence made him a standout in an era filled with rising stars. Despite early critical acclaim and a knack for unforgettable performances, Martin's journey through Hollywood was shockingly brief. By age 16, after just a few more film and television appearances, he walked away from acting without warning, leaving fans to speculate wildly about his fate. Some whispered about possible Hollywood scandals, while others simply assumed he had vanished for good. For years, Martin's complete retreat from the spotlight only deepened the mystery. He kept his private life so well guarded that even die-hard horror enthusiasts were left guessing. The reality, however, was far less dramatic. Martin had simply chosen a quiet, private life away from the cameras. In recent years, he's re-emerged only occasionally, lending his voice to retrospective documentaries, but remains firm that his days in the industry are long behind him. Teddi Mellencamp. She built her fame on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but behind the scenes, Teddi Mellencamp has been fighting a far more brutal battle: skin cancer. Over the years, she's endured surgery after surgery, removing more than a dozen malignant tumors, and the fight isn't over. On September 20th, 2023, a routine checkup turned into another nightmare. A new biopsy confirmed yet another cancerous growth. That night, Teddi revealed she could hardly sleep, gripped by anxiety and the fear of what's next. Still, she met the diagnosis with the same resolve that's defined her public life: strength, honesty, and determination. Teddi's journey is a stark reminder that this disease doesn't discriminate. Her story has become a rallying cry for awareness, especially in the world of celebrity interviews, where her transparency about the struggle has struck a powerful chord. She emphasizes one critical truth: early detection saves lives. What makes Teddi's story so compelling isn't just the surgeries or the scars, it's the hope she shares with others. Her bravery, her willingness to speak up, and her unwavering push for people to prioritize their health have turned her into more than a reality TV star. She's now a voice for survival, and a reason for many to finally book that overdue skin check. Richard Simmons. On March 20th, fitness legend Richard Simmons broke years of silence with a gut-wrenching confession. He's been battling skin cancer. In a heartfelt Facebook post, Simmons revealed he had found a strange lump just beneath his right eye. Something felt off. Trusting his instincts, he went to a dermatologist, and the news was grim: basal cell carcinoma. The next steps were immediate and brutal. Without anesthesia, doctors began burning the cancer cells directly off his skin using a small instrument. Simmons described the searing pain in raw detail. The burning sensation was really painful, but worse, it didn't work the first time. Some cancer cells remained, forcing him to endure another round. No tears, just grit. Simmons returned for the second treatment with quiet determination, refusing to let fear define him. And in true theatrical spirit, he signed off with 3 haunting words: to be continued. Hugh Jackman. Behind his powerful screen presence and iconic Wolverine claws lies a painful, real-life battle. Hugh Jackman has faced skin cancer not once, not twice, but 6 times. Since his first diagnosis in 2013, the Hollywood star has quietly undergone multiple procedures to remove cancerous spots, turning his private health crisis into a public mission. In April 2023, after yet another procedure to remove a suspicious blemish, Hugh took to Instagram to deliver a warning the world couldn't ignore: wear sunscreen no matter the season. This wasn't just celebrity advice, it was a plea from a man who's lived the consequences of ignoring early protection. His message struck a chord, especially for fans in sunny regions, where UV exposure is relentless and often overlooked. Growing up in Australia, Jackman admits he rarely used sunscreen. That childhood mistake would haunt him decades later, leading to a battle that redefined his life. But through it all, he stayed transparent, using every surgery, every scar as fuel to educate others. In the world of Hollywood gossip, Jackman's health updates are anything but superficial. They're a wake-up call. By April 2023, fans were finally able to exhale when Hugh shared that his latest biopsy came back negative. Still, he didn't celebrate quietly. He used the moment to double down on his message: no one is untouchable and prevention is everything. His advocacy for early detection, skin checks, and daily protection has turned him into a quiet hero behind the curtain, proof that even in a city built on illusion, some truths demand to be told. Jackman's message is global, but what about you? Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Let's see how far this message reaches. Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian shocked fans in 2022 with a deeply personal revelation that sent ripples through the world of Hollywood gossip. A mysterious bump on her cheek What she initially brushed off as a stubborn breakout turned out to be something far more serious. After 7 months of ignoring it, she finally got it checked. The diagnosis: a tumor that needed to be removed right away. It was her second frightening run-in with skin cancer. Years earlier, at just 19, Chloe had a malignant growth cut from her back, an early warning that her skin would need constant vigilance. Despite faithfully using sunscreen and caring for her health, this second scare reminded her and the world that even the most glamorous stars aren't immune. Now Chloe uses her platform not just for beauty tips or reality TV drama, but to raise awareness about skin cancer, urging everyone to check their skin and never ignore warning signs. Christie Brinkley. Even supermodels aren't immune to skin cancer. In late March 2023, Christie Brinkley revealed that she had a basal cell carcinoma removed from her face, a sobering reminder that danger can hide in the smallest blemish. She broke the news with her signature charm, thanking her doctors and joking, "They stitched me up like a custom-made Dior dress." But beneath the humor was a serious message. Christie confessed she had waited too long before seeking help, a delay that could have changed everything. Her advice? Don't procrastinate. It's a warning that hit home for many, especially those who overlook subtle changes in their skin. Now a vocal advocate for prevention, Christie has turned her personal scare into a public mission. She's strict about SPF 30, reapplying it throughout the day, and protecting her skin with long sleeves and wide-brimmed hats. Her story cuts through the noise of red carpet fashion, showing that beauty fades fast when health is ignored. Christie's message is simple but unforgettable. Take skin cancer seriously, because even a small delay can come at a massive cost. Rosie O'Donnell. In September 2024, Rosie O'Donnell noticed something small, a lump near her left eye that had begun to crust over. It didn't look serious at first, but her instincts told her otherwise. After getting it checked, the diagnosis came: basal cell carcinoma, a common but serious form of skin cancer. Fortunately, it was caught early. Surgery followed swiftly, and Rosie has since made a full recovery. But instead of moving on quietly, she took to social media to sound the alarm. She urged her followers to examine their skin regularly, warning that even the smallest red bump or patchy spot can carry dangerous consequences. This isn't Rosie's first health scare. She previously survived a heart attack in 2012 and faced a breast cancer scare in 2010. Through it all, she's used her platform not just for entertainment, but to educate and inspire. Janelle Brown. In 2021, Sister Wives star Janelle Brown noticed what looked like a fading scar on her upper lip, something she assumed was just an old, cold sore. But when she finally had it checked, the diagnosis was more serious: basal cell carcinoma. It wasn't considered aggressive, but it was still a form of skin cancer. She underwent surgery and made a full recovery, or so it seemed. Fast forward to March 2024. During a routine skin exam, doctors found 2 more precancerous spots and a new tumor growing on her lip. This time, the tumor was removed again, and the suspicious areas were treated with cryotherapy before they could develop into something worse. Janelle didn't stay silent. She took to social media to share every step, turning her private struggle into a public lesson in prevention. Despite being vigilant with sunscreen, she reminded fans that regular skin checks are non-negotiable. Sybil Shepherd. In 2002, moonlighting star Sybil Shepherd discovered something alarming: a rough, scaly patch on her back that didn't go away. Trusting her instincts, she went straight to the doctor. The diagnosis, a rare and dangerous form of skin cancer called dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, or DFSP. Shepherd underwent surgery to remove the tumor, a procedure that left a noticeable scar. To help hide it, she later chose to undergo cosmetic surgery. But the physical scars were just one part of the story. The emotional wake-up call ran even deeper. Since then, the once sun-loving star has transformed her lifestyle. She never leaves home without covering her skin, and now speaks openly about the importance of early detection. Her experience sends one message loud and clear: don't ignore the signs, they might be your only warning. John Cena. In 2025, WWE legend and actor John Cena shocked fans with a deeply personal admission. He had been diagnosed with skin cancer not once, but twice. The first scare came during a routine skin exam when doctors found a cancerous spot on his right chest. Just a year later, another growth appeared near his shoulder. Both were surgically removed, but the wake-up call was loud and clear. Cena opened up about the years he spent under the sun, growing up in Massachusetts, then moving to Florida, without ever thinking twice about sunscreen. "I was very stubborn and thought it wouldn't affect me," he confessed, "but eventually it caught up with me." Determined to turn his mistake into action, Cena teamed up with Neutrogena for the Sunscreen You Can't See campaign, urging men in particular to take their skin health seriously. For someone known for toughness in the ring, this was a vulnerable moment that carried a powerful message. Sarah Ferguson. In June 2023, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, faced a life-altering diagnosis: early-stage breast cancer discovered during a routine checkup. She quickly underwent a mastectomy and reconstructive surgery, but what happened next sent another shockwave. During the operation, doctors removed several moles for analysis. One of them revealed something even more alarming: melanoma. Just months later, in January 2024, Sarah received her second cancer diagnosis. Further surgery followed to remove surrounding tissue and test her lymph nodes. The relief came when results confirmed the cancer hadn't spread. She didn't require chemotherapy or immunotherapy, but she now faces ongoing skin treatments and constant medical surveillance. She called it a bombshell, a moment that shook her to the core, but with unwavering support from her daughters, she fought back and won. By May 2024, Princess Beatrice confirmed that Sarah had fully recovered and was thriving at 64. Harry Jowsey. In 2024, reality TV star Harry Jowsey, known from Too Hot to Handle and Dancing with the Stars, took to TikTok with a serious and unexpected update. He had been diagnosed with skin cancer. There was no dramatic build-up, just a raw admission. "There's really no easy way to say this," he told his fans. During a recent checkup, driven by his own gut feeling, doctors found a suspicious spot on his shoulder. It had been sitting there unnoticed for over a year. The diagnosis stunned him. Still, Jowsey kept his cool. He assured his followers he'd be okay, but his message was urgent. Protect your skin. Check yourself. Don't wait. In his laid-back, cheeky style, he added, "If you're a freckled little frog like me, map out your moles and get checked." Underneath the humor was a hard truth. Skin cancer can strike anyone, young, healthy, and seemingly invincible. In a space often filled with surface-level Hollywood gossip, Jowsey broke through with something real. His vulnerability turned a private scare into a public call to action. Early detection saves lives. On a scale from 1 to 9, how shocked were you by Harry Jowsey's cancer battle? 1 equals sign, saw it coming. 9 equals sign, completely blindsided and heartbroken. Drop your number in the comments and tell us why. Let's see who really paid attention. Andy Cohen. In 2020, Bravo host Andy Cohen made a surprising revelation on Jenny McCarthy's Sirius XM show. He had been diagnosed with melanoma. It all started with a small, dark spot on his lip. He ignored it at first, brushing it off as nothing serious, but that silence nearly became a deadly mistake. It wasn't until longtime friend Kelly Reaper stepped in that things changed. She urged him to get it checked immediately, warning, "That looks like skin cancer." She was right. That one moment of concern may have saved his life. For Cohen, the diagnosis hit hard. Known for his love of tanning and sun-kissed appearances, he realized those habits had come at a steep price. After undergoing treatment, Cohen turned his lifestyle upside down. The sun-chasing days were over. Skin protection became his new obsession. In a world obsessed with red carpet fashion, Cohen's transformation serves as a stark reminder. What's glamorous on the outside can sometimes hide a dangerous reality underneath. His story isn't just a health scare, it's a life-altering lesson in listening to those who care and never ignoring your body's warnings. Ariana Maddox. Back in 2018, reality TV star Ariana Maddox dropped what seemed like a minor health update on Instagram, a quiet mention of removing a piece of cancer and undergoing a lymph node biopsy. But behind that calm post was a terrifying truth. Maddox was battling melanoma, one of the deadliest skin cancers. Doctors had brushed off her concerns for years, assuring her everything was fine. But something didn't sit right. She kept pushing for answers, and that determination may have saved her life. When the cancer was finally caught, it was already stage 1, meaning the clock was ticking. In a celebrity interview with the Skin Cancer Foundation in 2023, she revealed the chilling detail. The tumor had likely been growing for much longer than anyone realized. Thankfully, it hadn't spread. Immediate surgery followed, along with a biopsy to confirm the cancer hadn't reached her lymphatic system. Since then, Maddox has transformed her trauma into purpose. She's now a vocal advocate for early detection, sun protection, and self-advocacy. Her warning is crystal clear. Melanoma doesn't always come with symptoms, but its consequences can be life-changing. Her story is a wake-up call, and a reminder that even under the lights of Hollywood gossip, real battles often go unseen. Kevin Jonas. In June 2024, Kevin Jonas stunned fans by posting a video that revealed far more than just another day at the clinic. Calm but serious, the Jonas Brothers star pointed to a small spot on his forehead and said the words no one expected. It's skin cancer. At just 37, Kevin had been diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, the most common yet often ignored type of skin cancer. Thanks to early detection, he underwent surgery to have the tumor removed. But instead of keeping the ordeal private, he chose to share it with the world, turning a frightening diagnosis into a life-saving message. His video didn't just raise awareness, it shattered the illusion that fame shields anyone from real-life threats. From pop sensation to father of 2 and business leader, Kevin Jonas showed that vulnerability is not weakness, it's power. In an age dominated by Hollywood scandals, his raw honesty became a refreshing contrast. No designer suit or red carpet moment could cover up what really matters. Knowing your body, catching warning signs early, and taking action before it's too late. Whitney Carson. At just 19, Whitney Carson was living her dream, dazzling audiences on Dancing with the Stars and rising fast as one of America's most promising performers. But just as the spotlight found her, a shadow crept in. Doctors diagnosed her with melanoma, a dangerous form of skin cancer that no one saw coming. The news hit like a punch to the gut. Carson, the picture of strength and vitality, was suddenly facing a life-altering diagnosis. Still, she chose to keep it a secret. Not even the show's producers or her dance partners knew. While cameras captured her grace and energy, behind the scenes, she quietly underwent surgery, removing both a mole and multiple lymph nodes in a desperate effort to stop the disease from spreading. The pressure to seem unstoppable was overwhelming, but beneath the glitz and red carpet fashion, Whitney was fighting a hidden war. Years later, she opened up about the toll it took, the emotional strain of pretending to be invincible while grappling with something so terrifying and real. Her comeback became more than just a return to stage. It was a message. Carson now uses her voice to urge others to trust their instincts, take their health seriously, and never let silence stand in the way of survival. Her journey is proof that even the brightest stars can face the darkest battles and still shine. Jesse Tyler Ferguson. In 2015, Modern Family star Jesse Tyler Ferguson received news that would change his life. He had skin cancer. A tumor was found on his face, and he quickly underwent surgery to have it removed. He didn't keep the experience quiet. Instead, he went public, sharing a candid post on Instagram, thanking his doctor for removing the cancer from my face. With his signature wit, he even joked that the makeup team on Modern Family had their work cut out for them hiding his post-op stitches. But beneath the humor was a serious warning. Ferguson, a redhead with fair skin, used his platform to emphasize the danger for people with sensitive skin tones, urging them to wear sunscreen and, more importantly, to never skip a skin check. This wasn't a one-time scare. Ferguson revealed that with every exam, doctors usually remove a bit of skin to test. That routine checkup is exactly how his cancer was caught. Clint Eastwood. In 1997, Hollywood icon Clint Eastwood, known for his steely gaze and tough-as-nails persona, faced a very real, very human challenge: skin cancer. A small lesion on his left cheek turned out to be basal cell carcinoma, a common but potentially dangerous form of skin cancer if left untreated. Eastwood underwent surgery to remove the cancer, leaving a noticeable pinkish scar just under his left eye.
For a time, he avoided cameras, uncomfortable with being photographed until the wound had healed. Though Eastwood never spoke publicly in detail about the ordeal, the story eventually surfaced, and it served as a quiet warning to others. At the time, it shocked fans used to seeing him as invincible. Now in his 90s, Eastwood continues to lead a disciplined life. Healthy eating, daily meditation, and outdoor caution are all part of his ongoing wellness routine. Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates, the Oscar-winning powerhouse, isn't just a legend on screen. She's a two-time cancer survivor who turned her pain into purpose. In 2003, Bates was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She underwent surgery and chemotherapy and won the fight. But nearly a decade later, in 2012, life dealt her another devastating blow. Breast cancer. This time she made a bold decision. She chose a double mastectomy. But the battle didn't end there. The removal of 19 lymph nodes triggered a long-term condition, lymphedema in both arms. It was painful, limiting, and permanent. Still, Bates didn't back down. Through lifestyle changes, she dropped 80 pounds, committed to a healthier diet, and began managing her condition with compression garments. She didn't just survive, she became a warrior for others. As a national spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, Bates now uses her voice for those who are often overlooked. Her mantra? We have lymphedema, but we are not have lymphedema. In a world where celebrity interviews often focus on glamour and gossip, Bates brings something deeper, raw strength and fearless advocacy. At 76, she's still commanding screens, still fighting and still inspiring millions. Andy Roddick. In May 2024, fans were stunned when former US Open champion Andy Roddick revealed a battle he had quietly carried for years: skin cancer. Since retiring in 2012, Roddick had kept his condition private. But on the Served podcast, he finally broke his silence. He described multiple procedures, including the removal of squamous cell carcinoma from his lip, and more recently, laser treatments to combat deep sun damage. Those unexplained red spots and facial inflammation fans once speculated about. Now we know the truth. Roddick isn't asking for sympathy. What he wants is impact. He's using his platform to issue a warning, especially to young athletes and parents. Long hours under the sun can leave invisible scars that surface years later. In the spotlight of Hollywood gossip, many focus on fame, not health. But Roddick's message is sharp and clear. The sun is no joke. Protect yourself. Catch it early, because sometimes the toughest match you'll ever face is the one inside your own body. Richard Tyler Blevins. In March 2024, the gaming world was shaken when Richard Tyler Blevins, better known as Ninja, opened up about a deeply personal and unexpected battle. At just 32, the streaming sensation revealed he had been diagnosed with melanoma, a fast-moving form of skin cancer discovered during a routine skin check. The warning sign? A suspicious mole on the bottom of his foot, spotted not by a doctor but by his wife, Jessica. Her gut feeling turned out to be life-saving. Doctors removed the mole and ran tests. The result, melanoma, and that wasn't all. A second suspicious spot nearby was also taken out just to be safe. Thankfully, the cancer was caught early before it had the chance to spread. But the scare was real, and Ninja didn't stay silent. He took to social media to deliver a blunt, powerful message to his massive audience. Don't wait, get checked. Take your skin seriously. In an industry focused on lights, fame, and celebrity interviews, Ninja's raw honesty stood out. His story became more than just a health update. It became a wake-up call to millions who look up to him. Underneath the headset and hype, there's a reminder that even the biggest names aren't invincible. Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner stunned fans with a quiet but powerful Instagram post, a close-up photo showing her nose wrapped in a red bandage. Her caption was short, but the message rang loud. Recently, I had to remove some sun damage on my nose. PSA, always wear sunscreen. It was later confirmed that the spot was basal cell carcinoma, a common yet serious form of skin cancer linked to years of sun exposure. Jenner didn't share all the details, but the image spoke for itself. As a former Olympic gold medalist and longtime public figure, Jenner spent countless hours outdoors training, golfing, and living under the California sun.
That lifestyle, though inspiring, came with hidden risks. Her experience is a chilling reminder that skin cancer can strike anyone, and what looks like a small blemish could be something far more dangerous. Jenner's post stripped everything down to what really matters: your health. A single image, a simple warning, and a truth too important to ignore. Ewan McGregor. In 2008, Ewan McGregor stunned fans with a quiet yet shocking revelation. He had undergone surgery to remove 2 cancerous moles from his face. One of them was alarmingly close to his eye. The discovery came during a routine health check, a visit he never expected would change everything. Doctors urged him to act fast, and that advice may have saved his life. Known for his unforgettable roles in Moulin Rouge and Star Wars, McGregor's image has long been one of fearless adventure, whether crossing continents on a motorcycle or commanding the screen with intensity. But this close brush with skin cancer exposed a rarely seen vulnerability. Far from just a Hollywood heartthrob, McGregor is a father of 5, a dedicated humanitarian, and a proud voice for Scottish heritage. Facing cancer didn't weaken his image, it added depth. It reminded audiences that even those we admire most are fighting unseen battles behind the scenes. Brooke Shields. In 2009, Brooke Shields faced a terrifying wake-up call. What seemed like an ordinary mole on her face turned out to be precancerous, and the diagnosis rattled her. For someone who had spent years under both studio lights and the sun, it was a moment of realization that skin damage doesn't always show up right away. Like many of her generation, Shields admitted she didn't grasp the dangers of sun exposure when she was younger. Growing up in New York, she and her friends would sunbathe on rooftops, chasing the perfect tan without knowing the long-term cost. She believed beach sunburns were the only threat, not the casual everyday sun that would leave its mark decades later. That scare changed everything. Brooke became hyper-aware of the damage already done and the steps needed to protect what remained. Her experience is a powerful reminder that sun damage is cumulative, and stopping the habit doesn't erase past exposure. Now a vocal advocate for skin health, Shields hopes her story resonates far beyond Hollywood gossip, especially for those still ignoring the quiet dangers of tanning culture. Her message is clear: don't wait for a close call to take your skin seriously. Prevention doesn't just save your appearance, it could save your life. Did Brooke Shields' wake-up call make you rethink how dangerous the sun really is? Type yes if her story changed your perspective, or no if you think the risks are still exaggerated. Let's see where everyone stands in the comments. Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith has lived much of her life in the public eye, but few moments were as vulnerable as the one she shared in 2018. After being diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, a common yet dangerous form of skin cancer, she underwent treatment to remove a cancerous spot from her nose. Instead of hiding it, Melanie posted a raw, unfiltered selfie with a bandage across her face, revealing the aftermath of a dermabrasion procedure. But that image wasn't just a health update, it was a warning. Griffith used her platform to speak out about the dangers of sun exposure and the urgency of early detection. Don't ignore suspicious spots and don't wait, she urged her followers. Her voice carried weight not just because of her fame, but because of her honesty. Melanie's message is simple but crucial. Don't wait until it's too late to take action. Her scars now serve as a badge of strength and a wake-up call to anyone who still takes the sun for granted. Jimmy Buffett. In 2023, the world lost more than a music legend. It lost a spirit of sunshine and escape. Jimmy Buffett, the beloved tropical rock icon, passed away after a quiet yet relentless battle with a rare and aggressive skin cancer known as Merkel cell carcinoma. This fast-growing disease often goes unnoticed, appearing as harmless skin-toned or discolored lumps, catching victims completely off guard. Though Buffett never made his diagnosis public, it was later revealed by his sister, Laurie Buffett McGuane, that he had been privately fighting the illness since 2019. His silence only deepened the shock. Fans began to connect the dots when he cancelled several performances, something almost unthinkable for a man who lived to entertain. Buffett's journey is a powerful reminder that even the most vibrant stars can be touched by illness. His story sent ripples through the world of Hollywood scandals, not because of controversy, but because of the hidden struggle he carried while still trying to bring joy to millions. He brought joy to so many people, Laurie said, and she was right. Beyond his chart-topping hits and beachside anthems, Jimmy Buffett left behind a legacy of joy, escape, and unforgettable moments. His life was a celebration, and even in his final chapter, he inspired countless fans to cherish their health as fiercely as their happiness. Diane Keaton has graced Hollywood screens for decades, but behind the iconic hats and timeless charm is a long personal battle with skin cancer. Her first diagnosis came shockingly early, at just 21 years old. In a 2015 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Keaton revealed that she survived skin cancer not once, but twice. For Keaton, the fight runs in the family. Her father, her brother, and even her Aunt Martha were all affected by the same disease, but back in her 20s, she admits she didn't give sun protection a second thought. SPF, she barely knew what it was, and says ignoring it was one of the biggest mistakes of her life. It wasn't until her 40s that the reality finally hit. She changed everything. Now she won't step outside without sunscreen in her bag, and her wardrobe reflects a deliberate choice to shield her skin from further damage. In an industry where appearances can define careers, her story became more than a cautionary tale. It's never too early or too late to start protecting yourself. Fame's spotlight is a fickle guide, and the stories you've just witnessed prove how swiftly it can fade. From Shirley Temple's triumphant second act to Bobby Driscoll's lonely final curtain, each vanished star leaves behind a haunting echo, part cautionary tale, part testament to resilience. Their journeys remind us that applause is fleeting, but humanity endures beyond the marquee lights. If these forgotten legends moved you, share their stories and keep their legacies alive. Because sometimes the greatest comeback is simply being remembered.